Namo Phat. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for a daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society, by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body, in my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I'm determined not to use alcohol or any other items that contain toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I'm aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. This morning we'll be finishing a book we've been reading for a while now by the nuns of Amaravati called The Body, Dhamma Reflections on Aging, Sickness, and Death. And we're finishing up a Dhamma talk by Ajahn Metta called Walking the Path with Courage. When we dare to bring renunciation into our lives, we experience unpleasantness, especially in the early stages. But we are giving up what we know is unwholesome and no longer makes sense to us. With courage, we can move into the direct experience of the pain, the frustration, the fear, the dissatisfaction. We begin to understand that these unwholesome states of mind do not support us. By staying with the direct experience and connecting with the present moment, we find ourselves in a different place where they can transform and dissolve. We connect with the places that we find hard to acknowledge, and by doing this, we come into contact with a deeper sense of being, both with ourselves and with those around us. When you walk the spiritual path, you must learn to use these tools, to work with them. Renunciation does not mean to cut yourself off from what you need. Real renunciation comes from a sense of fullness. It comes from an understanding, the feeling of experience of enoughness, of fullness, of noticing what it is you really need. It is an experience of abundance, the knowing that we will be able to relate to our needs at the moment when we experience them. We do not have to hoard things just because there might come a time when we need them. What is important to me in this life? What do I want to put my energy into? How do I want to live this life? When you ask these questions, you are really stepping out of self-centeredness. You are stepping out of your little self and into something much bigger. This involves a shift in consciousness, an internal shift from assuming that you are in control of your life to embracing the unknown, being part of something that is beyond you, connecting with the wider field of existence. In the world today, practicing renunciation can have far-reaching consequences. It can help us, for example, to be more aware of the scarcity of our physical resources. This is extremely important at the moment, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. We should perhaps ask ourselves, how can we continue to live this kind of life in our present society? How sustainable is it? How long can we continue to use our resources in the way we do now? Or to put it simply, do we need all the things we are so used to having? When we step out of our self-centered views in this way, we are obliged to consider not only our own resources, but also the resources of others. If I'm using up so much of these resources, what will be left for others? Renunciation is not just a personal issue, but relates to the world around us. How can I share the abundance in my life with others who have less? The question is not only relevant to our own personal lives, but on an international scale. Again, this does not relate only to the material aspects of our lives. It includes our social and spiritual qualities, our goodness of heart. How do we spend our time, and how much can we give to others? How much of our time do we waste? Consider this. What's going on in your mind when you have a day of practice, when you are working, when you're with your friends or your partner, when you are with your children? Are you really there? Are you present? Are you in connection with the people in your life? We need to develop the courage to look at these things, the courage to look at the pain they might bring up. Of course, when we connect with the present moment, we do not only experience pain. But if we are in connection, it doesn't really matter what we are experiencing. When we put our heart fully into it, we can also experience and share joy, peacefulness, empathy, compassion, and contentment, qualities which can nourish others as well as ourselves. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.